VigilanteWilliamson here with a very simple statement, and that is, in Brad Holmes we trust. And I don't mean that in a blasphemous way. I'm a Lions fan, and there's a lot of discourse about Brad Holmes and his drafting and how he's not addressing the edge rusher situation, and we need an edge rusher. Shout out to, and I gotta be honest, I saw this on a creator named Writer Wrong. I'll put a screenshot up of his channel, and he led me to go into good old Pro Football Reference, and you look, the Lions actually are still a pretty good pass rush of a team. Now I know Aiden did play 5 games. Yes, we're very low at sacks. We're like 23rd, right? But if you look at our hurry percentage, we're a top 2 team. We're a top 6 team at QB knockdowns. We're a top 4 team at pressure and pressure percentage. Now I got to tell the whole story. We are also a top 2 team at blitzing. So we were not getting this pressure from our base 4. I will grant you that. I got to tell the whole story. But we were getting a pass rush, even with Aiden Hutchinson, our star pass rusher, who was, starting off to have an incredible season. He already had like 7 sacks, 5 games. I mean, he was on an incredible pace. But obviously got hurt because of Dakota Rain's fat ass and broke his leg, missed most of the season. And a lot has been made about our pass rush, and I think a lot of it's unwarranted. Now, the video I talked about with Right or Wrong is about Tyleik Williams, our draft pick, our number 1 draft pick out of Georgia, I believe. And this is not necessarily about him. It's about, one, the idea that we need a pass rush is a little bit overblown. I understand sacks. Sacks can be an overrated stat. Let's talk about some of the names of some of the players that people have wanted to trade to the Lions, like Trey Hendrickson, like Myles Garrett, like Max Crosby. What do they all have in common? Yeah, their team sucks. I mean, the Bengals are a good team, but that defense sucks. So they're not like, I know we like to think of sacks, and I know, listen, the Browns got tons of other problems, the Ravens got tons of other problems. It's not all on these players, but these guys get 30, 40 million now, right? So it's a high paid position. We're going to have to give Aiden 30, 40 million. I mean, in theory, I know a lot of players are made, a lot of these contracts are like Klarna, right? That's why a lot of these contracts get restructured and they end up paying money later. But that notwithstanding, it's an expensive position, the edge rush position. Sacks don't necessarily tell the story on defense. They don't necessarily hold its value as well as other positions. But it is a glamour position. It's become a glamour position. It is still important. You need a pass rush. You have a team like the Eagles that were in the upper half of sacks, but nowhere near the top 10 or nowhere near the top 5. They had 41 sacks as a team during the regular season. And look at what that pass rush did to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not all in sacks. That's a part of the story, but that's not the whole story. And I think so many people, their whole premise is incorrect. We'll get to why you should just trust Brad Holmes for what he's done for this franchise later. But their premise is false. We do not necessarily need help at edge rush. We're not desperate at edge as we think. Now, yes, a lot of that was blitzing. A lot of that is Aaron Glenn, who's gone on, which is probably why we did draft a guy like Tyleik. First, that's another thing. Brad Holmes is making these decisions for the coaches. The coaches are going to give him the feedback on what they want, and they probably said, you know what would be better if we could get some more help stopping the run. And our run defense was still solid, but we had ourselves some shit. I think I'm even in the comments in that video I mentioned. We had ourselves some games where we were up and down. We didn't stop everybody with rushing. There were some teams that could run against us, so we weren't perfect as a run defense. I don't think we were as good as a run defense in actuality last year as we were the year before, but we were such a great offense. We just blew teams out and they didn't have a chance to run against us. But I don't think we were quite the stout run defense that we can be. Granted, obviously we had so many injuries. We still going to start off the year with some injuries. And, I know Aiden's been cleared. There was a video a few weeks ago that didn't look too great. We have an injury issue. That's really what the issue is. If we re-sign Zadarius, which I think that we will, shout out to Cash Dow, I think everything is going to be fine as far as the edge rush, and hopefully that blitz percentage can go down a little bit and we can still get some of that same pressure. And again, I mean, you look at a lot of great pass rushers. Even if you want to throw in a J.J. Watt and a Highsmith, obviously, and Steelers, I mean, look, they're kind of always in mediocre land. Those are expensive positions that don't necessarily always grant you the value that you want. And going back to Brad Holmes, has anybody drafted this well as a GM in history? I mean, look at what he's drafting. Now, he obviously had that Matthew Stafford trade, the infamous trade, which we are linked to the Rams forever. Rams are just in our division now. We're in theirs. We might as well be in the NFC West all of a sudden. But because we play them every year now. Every single year we're going to play the Rams, no matter what. And then probably in the playoffs if we get that far, because we have had to play them in the playoffs. In any event, the infamous trade did give him a few extra shots in the barrel. But look at all the players we've been able to draft, rather it's Brian Branch, Penei Sewell, Jahmyr Gibbs. You know what I mean? Making a call to get D-Mont over from the Bears. Obviously, the Jared Goff, being able to get Jared Goff thrown in with all those picks. And, you know, he was so discarded. Look what he's become. You love him or hate him. You know, I got my issues with Goff, but I still love him, and I still think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, especially with this team. Amon-Ra St. Brown was 3rd or 4th round. I mean, come on. He's been able to draft so well. And yeah, was Broderick Martin didn't really pan out. Everyone's not going to pan out. And just because he didn't build the best pass rush defensive line in football, we're going to throw him away. There's a creator I love, and I'm not trying to criticize him. I'm only attacking the opinion and the people who have this opinion that Brad Holmes is doing a subpar job in any way as a GM because he hasn't done enough for the edge rush. And I'm not saying he's done the best, but when you look at how balanced this team is, how many top 10 players we have at that position throughout this team, it's like, that doesn't happen mostly through the draft. How many times has that happened? The only time I can think is you had the Cowboys back in the 90s. And yeah, they had the Herschel Walker trade, so if that's the parallel, but we didn't get as much as they got in the Herschel Walker trade. We got a couple first round picks and a great quarterback, so that was a lot. So I don't want to act like we didn't get nothing. They got a Super Bowl out of it. You know what I mean? It's a win-win trade. But it's like you don't get people drafting whole, look at the Ravens when they were able to obviously draft Ray Lewis, and a few years later Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs, and when it's like they just drafted a defense overnight. There's teams like that, but it's just so hard to do. So hard to do where we're elite at offensive line, we're elite at running back, we're elite at wide receiver, we're elite at tight end, Sam Laporta and Brock Wright, we're elite at safety. We have an elite edge rusher who did get hurt. And then we were able to get Zadarius in. I really hope we re-sign him. And that's another thing. I honestly think he's not so pressed on putting an edge rusher back or getting another edge rusher, getting one of these high-profile edge rushers, because I think our signing Zadarius. He's probably just going to wait to get through some of these OTAs, enjoy your time, enjoy cash down, have fun. Are they still together? I hope they are. I hope I'm not bringing up something bad. If y'all broke up, you know what I'm saying. Please stay here, though. But, enjoy your time off. Don't rush. He's a veteran. Don't rush him into the offseason. I think that's all this is. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. And I hope they can get together. And if they could sign him back, and now we have him and Aiden to start the season, we're fine. We're fine, especially because even if we're the number 23 sack team, we're top 4 in quarterback knockdowns. We're top 2 in hurry percentage and hurries. You know what I mean? We're top 4 in pressure percentage. We're still giving the quarterback smoke. And then we added to our defensive line to be a little bit better, a little bit more what we should be. Again, I blame the run defense more on injuries than anything. Because I remember when Alex came back for that last game, I mean, we looked like our run defense toward the end of the year was not looking good. And then Alex Anzalone, I always mess up his name. I think I got it right this time. He came back for that Vikings game, and our defense looked different when he was back. I almost hated that we had that bye. That's why I almost don't want to get the bye this time. I think we got to be, as much as the injuries hurt us, and they did, we got to be smoking. We got to be in rhythm. We can't just wait and then get back together. Because I think another issue we had, we kind of started off slow. Yeah, we only lost one game in that early period, but we started off slow this year because I think we didn't quite play the preseason right. I think we even though I just said I wanted Zadarius to take his time, I think we underplayed the preseason. We didn't give our guys enough time in the preseason to get smooth. All that said, Brad Holmes is a great GM, incredible GM. The downfall of the Lions because of the pass rush is overstated. Yeah, we need a better rush. We need a better game plan against Jaden Daniels, and that's why I don't mind having a harder schedule. We got to play everybody in the NFC that matter. We gotta play pretty much everybody in the league that damn matter. We're gonna be battle tested. I don't care if we have a 10-7 record by the end of the year, and even if we're a wild card with this schedule, because I know we're going to be battle tested, and we will at least have tape of us versus any team that we need to beat to win the championships when it comes to the playoffs. Because for this franchise right now, it is a blessing to be here, by the way, for the Lions, where the regular season don't matter. Whatever happens in the playoffs, I literally don't care about. I want to win a division. We should win the division. I think we still will win the division. I think we're still going to win at least 12 games because we are the damn danger. You know what I mean? They got the Lions on their record too. It ain't just us. Oh, their schedule tough. We add to the toughness of your schedule. We are the damn danger. We are the one who knocks, motherfucker. Shit. So I think we're going to win 12 games. But if we only win 10 games, and we're like the 7th seed, just barely in, I still think we got a chance to win a championship as long as we're healthy. Health and executing when it matters is all that matters. Everything else is overtaken. Now listen, I get overanalyzing this team. I get feeling like, damn man, you really had all these edge rushers. This is one thing I will grant you. I'll play Angel's Advocate. This draft had a shit ton of edge rushers, and you end up with none of them till the 6th round. And I know a lot of people are excited about him, saying he'd die for the coach. That's a bit much, my brother. I get that, and that's a valid criticism. But I think it's because he doesn't value, and the coaches don't value, edge rushing and sacks in particular as much as we do as the fans. Whether or not that's correct, I don't know. We're going to find out when the rubber meets the road when it gets into the regular season and the playoffs. But they don't value the sack statistic as much as we do as fans. And there's evidence to why they might not. When you look at some of the sack leaders and what it's really doing for those franchises. And yeah, we had Aiden as a sack leader, but he's still on his rookie contract. A lot was made about Brock Purdy, and I even had my criticism of Brock Purdy getting all the money he's getting. But these edge rushers are getting 30, 40 million. And I don't think they can have that sort of impact on the defense just by the nature of what they do. It's obviously necessary. You need pressure. But there's other ways to get pressure. There's other ways to bother the quarterback. You don't necessarily need to always get that sack. Getting close to him, deflecting the ball, knocking him down, pressure and rushing, all this stuff matters. Listen, sacks still matter. I'm not trying to act like sacks don't matter. Don't get me wrong. As much as I still iffy about Trey, it would be great to have him and Aiden at their peak rushing the passer, right? But are you going to try to pay, that's $70 million. You know what I'm saying? That's $70 million a year. Are you got that? Especially when you're paying Goff $70 million, I think one of these years. I think next year. Now, granted, you're probably going to Klarner that situation now. He probably make 40 and then, pay him another 20 over 1 year. That's how they do it. It's the Shohei Ohtani type thing. The restructure, and all of a sudden, you're making money for the rest of your fucking life. That was an issue with the Lions and before Sheila got in, and Calvin. They still owed him money from restructuring, and they didn't want to pay it after he retired, but they still owed it to him. Fucking assholes. Thank God for Sheila. Thank God for Brad. Thank God for Dan Campbell and everybody else who's a part of this Lions rebuild. It took only my entire life to finally rebuild. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate the Lions. I appreciate Brad. I'm not saying you have no criticism or you have no right to criticize. It's fair, but it is what it is. I think we'll still be a good team. What do you think if you're a Lions fan? You made it through all that Drek. It wasn't Drek. It was good. What do you think? You tell me. Peace.